Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. So today we're here at Omation, one of my favorite suppliers with one of my favorite people, Warren from Omation.
How's it, Just?
How are you, bud?
I'm well, China. How you doing?
Good, thanks, man.
Very good.
Nice to see you.
And you?
Thanks for your time and showing us your beautiful room.
Happy to show off always.
Maybe you can run us through the technology that you have in the room, why you chose it, how it all works, how it all comes together.
Just thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of the video now and maybe a little bit of a series that we get going to see how that pans out.
Welcome.
As you mentioned, my name is Warren. I'm the client liaison at Omation. I like to believe that we are the biggest AV and automation import distributor focusing on residential home sort of projects, etc. We've got a huge range of brands on our portfolio, the likes of Control4 and Lutron and Denon and Monitor Audio, to name just a few. But our focus is really about bringing fun, smart, and really entertaining solutions to the home through you, as an example. So welcome to our Elton room. This room was set up as a media room and designed to show clients options. Hopefully your viewers, as they go through some of the other rooms and series that we've got in mind, will get the feel for the design choices that we've put behind these spaces. I would call this room a media room, right? And that's kind of the design layout that we've tried to apply. The viewers will see that we've got a bit more of a relaxed seating environment. You know, oftentimes when we're thinking home cinema, clients are thinking, I have to have the dedicated cinema style seating. Maybe I don't want that. You don't have to have that, of course, right? So this room just shows off a media room kind of concept. Seating wise, the sort of sofa gives you that sort of idea. But perhaps for me, one of the bigger things is actually the screen behind us over here. So this screen, as an example, is what we call a 16:9 aspect ratio screen. Here it's actually 110 inches diagonal. And that is being projected on, when we turn the system on, by our Sony projector. So Stewart film screen up front in a 16:9 aspect ratio. And the reason we opted for that aspect ratio is because we're designing this or considering this a media room, we want it to be media friendly. And what I mean by that is not just movies, dedicated cinema movie type experience, but for the clients that want to play PlayStation games, PC games, watch Netflix and sports and all the other things that we're familiar with from our TVs, the content displays in a big full screen format. And then when we're watching a movie, to be fair, we get the black bars on the top and the bottom, much like you do on a TV. I think a lot of people are very familiar with that kind of experience. So that's, I guess, one of the key features that makes this a media room. From an electronics point of view, other than the screen and projector, we've gone with a Denon AV receiver in this room. It's not a small one. It's the Denon's top of the range AVCA1 receiver, which has got like 15 channels of power built into it. We're not using all 15 in this room, but the system configuration in this space is what we call a 7.4.4. What that means is there are 7 speakers around us. Viewers might see the speakers sitting behind my screen over here. We've got some cool features that we're going to show lighting up and displaying those speakers. So my 3 front stage speakers are behind the screen here. And by having an acoustically transparent screen and the speakers placed behind that, it allows me to ensure that what I see and what I hear ties up perfectly. Right? So as a car drives from left to right of screen, it drives from left to right of screen in an audio sense as well, right? The sound panning moves in line with that screen, just like in a commercial cinema. So Bowers & Wilkins has been our speaker brand for this room. And in behind the screen over here, we've got what's called the CT 7.3. So CT Custom Theater. Bowers & Wilkins have been world renowned for some of the most prevalent hi-fi speakers. Many people will be familiar with the old school yellow cones of Bowers & Wilkins, and on their 700 and 800 series, the tweeter on top sort of design, very iconic. And a lot of those technologies get brought back into the likes of a CT speaker range, the custom tuned or custom theater range of speakers. But there's some performance modifications. So generally speaking, slightly higher power handling, better dynamics, maybe a slightly higher sensitivity as well, so we can ensure that we're achieving cinema kind of sound pressure levels, volume in a room like this. So Bowers CTs behind screen, the rest of the 7 I mentioned before, so it's 1, 2, 3. I have 4 5, 6, and 7 speakers around us. Those are our surround speakers. And again, to show off different concepts in this room, I've opted to go with an in-wall speaker in a little box that we had put on the side here. That was after our first modification, or second or third or fourth version of this room, as we've been playing around and chopping and changing things. Behind us, behind the seating area, we've got the Bowers 700 series bookshelf speakers on a bookshelf, so we can show clients. We've got a range of solutions in this room, from their traditional hi-fi to their custom theater range, in wall and in ceilings for the Dolby Atmos speakers, bringing the system together. So that's our 7 speakers around us. Point 4 being 4 subwoofers. Now, oftentimes we talk about 7.1 or 5.1, and that's talking about the what's called an LFE channel, or low frequency effects channel. But oftentimes in a cinema type environment, we're utilizing the subs not just for the low frequency effects channel of the movies, but what we call bass management. So when you have a smaller speaker, maybe the little bookshelves at the back of the room here, I think we can all appreciate they can't go all the way down to 20 hertz on their own. They just don't have the cone area to do that. So what we do with bass management, and with the Denons and Marantzas that we've got now, in particular this latest range, they've got up to 4 subwoofer outputs, 4 individually processed and managed subwoofer outputs. And that allows us to do what's called bass steering. So should the dinosaur be stomping around in the back corner, left back corner of the room, I utilize the left back corner subwoofer to tie in that bass management as well. What that ultimately does is give the client a more convincing experience about the surround sound they're experiencing. So subwoofers are the Bowers CT subwoofers from the same custom theater range. These are the CT12s, and they're being driven off of the Bowers HDA2 amplifiers. These are 2-channel amplifiers, 500 watts per channel, and I've got 2 of them. So that's giving me 500 watts per subwoofer, 1 in each corner of the room.
Yeah.
Just to finish that off on the speaker front, 7.4.4, the last 4 denotes the Atmos channels, or the in-ceiling height layer. And the viewers will see that we've got a set of front speakers here and rear speakers in the ceiling that side. And the point behind Dolby Atmos and some of the other immersive audio formats is to give that 360-degree bubble of sound, right? So if a bullet is supposed to whiz past your head on the surround channels while a helicopter flies overhead, you actually get that separation in sound, and creating a more immersive experience tied into the visuals that we see as well. Other than that, from an acoustics point of view, of course, we have acoustically treated the room as well. It's really important that in a performance room like we're sitting in here, the sound system and the room itself work hand in hand for the audio performance that we have. I'm sure many of the viewers will be familiar with, singing in the shower sounds amazing because you've got all that reverberation, and it feels like a grand space and makes you sound really good, unless it's me. But you don't want that level of reverberation in a performance audio visual room like this, because it's going to take away vocal intelligibility, as well as some of the other important effects, noise floor, etc. as well. And that's pretty much a quick look around the room.
Warren, why don't you tell us, why is all the components in the room here with us, as opposed to being in a server rack or something like that?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 kind of ideas that we're showing off here. First of all, many homeowners will be familiar with equipment living in the front of their room, right? Whether it's in a living room environment or something like that. So again, we didn't, here at Omation, we didn't want to necessarily exclude anybody from a system design point of view. So we'll see as we go through other rooms. I've got dedicated cinemas where all of my equipment is kept in a dedicated AV room. That's to keep the noise floor down. That's a higher level or tier of performance. Lower noise floor, better dynamic range capabilities, and all the other parts that come with that. But oftentimes then the challenge with having your equipment separated is in the likes of this room here. We're calling it a media room, and a big part of media consumption might be gaming from the likes of PlayStation or an Xbox, etc. And many of us will know that, like a PlayStation remote controls a Bluetooth connection to its main console. If you have that console in another equipment room, 2 rooms across, or whatever the case might be in the client's home, you are very likely not going to have a connection between your controller and PlayStation. And while I'm sure there's probably devices out there that allow you to have some sort of extender, any serious gamer will know the latency that's brought into that is just unacceptable. So in this instance over here, by having the equipment in front, we're obviously showing off to clients that it can be done. Though there are those options, but also it's allowed us to place our PlayStation here in the room, making sure that we've got no latency, direct control to the PlayStation. In the likes of a dedicated cinema or something like that, where the equipment is separated, often what guys will do is then use an audio video bail-in. So store the PlayStation locally in the room, hidden in a cupboard or somewhere, so at least the controllers can work, and then send the audio video back to the main head end, which is then managing the audio and video for the cinema room, as an example.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's always a solution that we can come up with, right?
Absolutely right. If a client says, I don't want to see the equipment, but I do want to control my PlayStation, sure, we'll figure out a plan,
We'll
right?
make a plan.
Always. That's what we do.
I see you've got the beautiful artwork on the side here, the backlit artwork. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I mean, again, as part of our design thinking here, a media room, not necessarily dedicated home cinema. Oftentimes a media room will have windows in it. And to be fair, the rest of the room is pretty dark. It's all black acoustic treatment, which is ultimately the best from a cinematic point of view, but doesn't make for a very exciting or pretty room, right? So I tried to get the best of both worlds in this space. So what effectively looks like a window, a big window out to a beautiful view, and whoever's living here is very lucky, I won't lie. But instead of having a window, I've created the illusion of having a window in here, but it gives me multiple functions back again. So this is actually acoustic treatment as well. This frame in particular is a little bit thicker than the rest of the frames that we've used. That allows me to have my acoustic treatment at the back half of this panel with a gap there where I can install LEDs to light up this high resolution image that we had printed for the frame. Now, the lighting behind here is what's called tunable white lighting. So we'll see as we go through one or two clips how the lighting changes from what we're seeing now as a cool white example. I've got a little lighting scene that as we go into demo mode, so to speak, you'll notice that this light tunes from a cool white to a warm white. That's somewhat replicating midday through to an evening scene, and then dims down from that into nighttime as you start watching your movie.
Okay.
So a fun and sort of funky way to show off what's circadian lighting, tunable white, and some of the conversations behind that, while creating an aesthetic of a media room, but the control of a cinema room. I like to think it was a clever little idea there.
No, it's very nice. It does add a nice element to the room.
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
I think it's worked well, and a lot of clients that have come through these spaces are very impressed with this kind of idea, and oftentimes trying to incorporate this type of thing into their own home cinemas with their own flair or appeal to it.
Yes,
so yeah, I'm very happy with how it turned out.
How do you control all this beautiful equipment so that it all works in unison?
Yeah, well, I think that's oftentimes it's the frustration for a homeowner is all the remote controls, right? You've got this amazing list of equipment, but maybe only one member of the family who knows which HDMI input I need to be on and what sound setting gives me the best sound, and why don't the lights dim when I watch a movie, what's going on. So like having 25 remote controls on your coffee table is, we've gone past that these days, right? Thankfully, we've gone past that.
Yeah.
So as part of Omation's brand portfolio, we also represent Control4 in Africa. So here we've got a Control4 system set up with the new Halo remote control that was recently released from C4.
Beautiful.
Very, very, very fancy little remote control. Full function in terms of room management, can actually control other areas of our office, but in the real world, my home. So really, in this instance, in this room, think of it like a universal remote control. The 25 other remotes we had are hidden, lost somewhere in a cupboard or whatever the case is. This guy controls everything. And really should be as simple as watch Apple TV, watch Netflix, and the system sets itself up. So make sure the projector is turned on to its right input, the amplifier to its correct input, any sound settings or adjustment presets that need to change. We've got Lutron lighting in this room, and Control4 is then talking to the Lutron lighting. So when we press play or watch movie or whatever the case, we can automatically dim the light, set the scene, don't have the glare from our window coming on over here, as an example. So very simple functionality, very easy to use functionality. And like I say, incorporates other things over and above the lighting and audio visual system. It's the air conditioning system in here as well. Extraction fans if you were going to have it in a cinema that needs fresh air inlets, etc. Over and above that, because it's a Control 4 integrated system, I've then got a little motion sensor that monitors the usage of the room. You know, I think we're all very familiar with the kids, you know, turn TV on, leave, and never turn the TV off. Well, after a predetermined amount of time, we'll turn off the lights and the TV and the aircon. So we make sure we're not burning the lamp life of our projector or wasting energy by trying to cool a room that nobody's actually sitting in.
Absolutely.
So full room control from the Control 4 system in this space.
Yeah, great. If you're not liked and subscribed already, please hit that bell notification and subscribe, because we are going to be doing the mini series. And if you don't do that, you might miss out on the future videos. At Omation, they've got stunning rooms, going from more of an entry level, if you will, a type of cinema room, through to top of the range products that absolutely will blow your mind. So besides showing you the room here, we also bring people through to come and have the experience for themselves. So if you would like to experience this room or one of the others, please reach out to me and show you what is on offer. And I don't think words quite do it justice. You have to experience for yourself.
It's the smile on your face when you sit through a demo, when you see the solution come together, that suddenly starts to make sense.
That's what it's all about for us, is seeing the client's face at the end of the day after you've delivered on your promise.
100% right,
And they have this in their own house now. It's no longer somewhere else where they went to go and experience it. They can enjoy that room or that space whenever they feel like it.
All the time, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
We play in a very fun world, right? We bring some very cool solutions to clients who have the ability to add them to their homes. And if you get the opportunity to come past with Justin, it certainly is worth your time.